past my faults. You just love me. You've seen my heart and stood by me. This heart you found torn, broken, neglected, mistreated, but in your hands, baby, I feel rest. Accountable for every action that I put in motion. Promise I'll do my best to find a way to return this love that you gave. Wake up and choose you every day. I'll have you as long as you'll stay, and we'll fight today. Tomorrow we'll do the same, falling in love with you all day. Because you look past my faults, you just love me. You've seen my heart and stood by me. This heart you found torn, broken, neglected, mistreated, but in your hands, baby, I feel rest. Accountable for every action that I put in motion. Promise I'll do my best.
It says, what God put together, let no man put asunder. I feel like that table is asunder.
Asunder?
Yes. It's Hawaii cold. Hi.
Hi.
Look at us.
Look at us. It's really weird having my back to
Yeah.
the world. My balls are
So
too
my impulsive thought is, or what is that thought called? Intrusive thought
intrusive.
is the building crumbles down.
Oh, that's easy. I throw you inside.
You're gonna throw me inside in time enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. I had to grab the meaty part of the dress.
Got it. The
And
meaty.
then-
The
right.
stomach is the most meaty.
No. The meaty part of the dress.
Got it.
Okay. And then I had to go from here and throw
You're
you
gonna throw
that
me
way.
in, and what about you?
Yeah.
You're gonna jump in
the
with me?
No. The idea is I'd try and like grab the edge, but I'm probably gone.
No, I we
Probably
both
not
go.
gonna make it.
You not allowed to go without me. You die, I die, Jack.
See, that's. And Rose, 84 years later.
You know she was a fake character on Titanic.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought she was real.
Oh, like a restaurant. You see that the last Arizona survivor passed
No.
earlier this week, or this week, or last over the
The
weekend.
Arizona Memorial?
So last sailor from that one.
That's wild.
It is, because you think about it, like, was that 1941?
Mm-hmm.
Bombing the Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 2024. 17 years from now, to be 100 years since the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Yeah.
I mean, what's wild too is like when you think about that, because Pearl Harbor is relevant to us because we live in Hawaii, but like they're teaching our kids about 9/11.
Yes, it's in the history books now.
And 9/11 was 20 years ago.
23 years ago. Well,
Yes.
23 in September, so 22.
But that's wild. Like that is a part of history, and we're a part of that.
Yeah.
Like that happened during our time. But why are we here, babe?
So yesterday was our anniversary.
Yes.
Our wedding anniversary.
Yes.
We have 3 anniversaries.
We do have 3 anniversaries.
January 1st, we officially got married. But then something happened with the paperwork. I don't know.
Don't tell people that. Don't tell
but
people that.
It didn't actually get filed until January 22nd. Well, we don't really celebrate
We
that
don't
one.
celebrate January 22nd.
We just remember
We celebrate our when you proposed.
September 3rd.
Yes. So that's really the anniversary. So September 3rd, January 1st, April 1st. And a lot of people, it's funny because Jeremiah played saxophone for us when we were in the wedding video. He's the one that's on the boat with me playing saxophone. And he said, he was like, why did you do it on April Fool's Day? I was like, we weren't even thinking about April Fool's Day. We were thinking of a first. Like, I was born on the 1st. We wanted a first of the month. And at the time, our friends were getting married the same year as us because we got married by a pastor in the same, and our friends who were in the same church as us were also getting married. And so we were trying to get married, give it enough time so that they had a break in between their wedding and our wedding. And so April 1st was because their anniversary, their wedding date was February 25th. February 25th, shout out to Chris and Jazz. Our wedding year twins. And so we wanted something close. So March was too close, so we did April 1st. But we did the 1st because we wanted to be the first of the month. That was a long explanation, but yeah.
Nah, I wanted April Fool's Day.
Because we're fools in love?
Nah.
Oh, what?
Because I think people wouldn't have believed that it was actually happening.
I do remember you saying that. I'm sorry, I'm yawning.
But it's been a long day. You've been up since like 5 in the morning.
I have been up since 5, but we did not.
Yeah, slept all day.
We ate the best food. You're gonna see our review for Signature. It was a steakhouse.
The Signature.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's like American Steakhouse or something, but it's here in town.
It's at the Moana Hotel, and this food was so good. So like we went to a fancy restaurant. Was that last year or the year before?
Year before. 53 by the Sea.
I wasn't gonna say the name, but yeah, and it was good. The views were nice, like everything, but it was like kind of like it was what it was. But the Signature was like worth the money. I would go back, spend that money again.
Same amount of money.
And
easily.
It was just, the steak was good, the lobster was good. We had creme brulee, Lily Koi creme brulee, and it was just, and we were at that point like stuffed. We were like, we can't eat another, and then he brought the creme brulee, and we were like, we're gonna make room.
He brought us spoons.
Make room for you, like legit. Make room for this creme brulee.
Yeah.
But it was funny because as we were like talking, we were at dinner and we were having like this deep conversation, and we do this thing every year where we say, what would you change? What do you think we did what's your favorite part of being married? What's your least favorite part? And it just got us to thinking. And so we're gonna do this really quickly because it's cold. It's Hawaii cold out here. It's like, I'm like shivering because it's cold, but it's beautiful. And we just wanted to take advantage of this time while it's still fresh on our head. We just dropped the episode. If you haven't watched it, go watch episode 1, Habanero Linguistics, which is just us talking about arguing and how to help argue in a healthy manner. There will be a part 2, but we just wanted to get on here and just kind of talk about what we were talking about while we were at dinner before it like seeps out of our brain. And we didn't bring none of our notebooks. Usually we have like our Mike and Stace Show.
I do not have a notebook.
Notebook?
Or paper.
We can write it in a note. iPhone.
My iPhone's over there.
Okay, we'll do that after.
Okay.
Okay. You want to start?
I regret nothing. If I could go back and do it different, without going too deep in it, I kind of manipulated the situation to go my way. I came and I visited you after I came back from Afghanistan. I did like a soft proposal, we can call it. Yeah.
I like that.
I was like, look, I don't have a ring or nothing in hand, but I love you, and things are playing out, and I'm coming back for you. And I did. I kind of did whatever it took to make the situation go my way. But the key word in that was manipulation. And I think that in that I kind of took away your choice of what you wanted to do in the marriage. And so I think I would go back and do that differently because it did come back up later in our marriage, that manipulation part. So that was the thing that I would change or do differently is not be that controlling in the beginning, making it seem like
you're definitely not the controlling one in the relationship.
I am not the controlling one in the relationship,
yeah,
but when it started to, get you to say yes to the ring, like I did what I felt like I had to do to make it to where you said yes.
And I think, like, to give more context, it was more so that, like, up until the point that where we got married, because Mike did come before we got married, I was still, I had just gotten out of a really bad relationship. Most of it was my fault, like the breakup and the catastrophe that it was on me. And so when Mike came, I was kind of like, hey, so when you come, I need you to be my friend. And he came, like, he did come in my friend, but he was like,
48 hours.
Yeah, like 2 days went by.
Girl, you was fine.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna marry you, and I'm coming back for you.
So bad,
and so I think that in that pursuit, because Mike has always known, Mike knew when we were 10 years old, and I didn't. And I think, you know, the first time he proposed, I was 17 years old. I was watching my parents get divorced, and for me, that's what marriage looked like. Marriage was messy. Marriage was, you know, it was not real. And so I wasn't ready. I didn't know what that was. And I wasn't, and that's not like shade or anything, but I wasn't raised to be a wife. And I think it's different. I think we have people that we know, we have friends that we know whose parents raised them to be a wife, raised them to be an independent woman, raised them to be self-sufficient, but raised them to be a wife. And I think that I took on being a big sister. I took on, you know, kind of, I was a single mom. I had Janice I was 19, 20. And so I didn't know what love was, what real love was. I spent my 20s being in these really kind of premature relationships where guys were not ready for me, and I kind of forced myself on them. And they were maybe too kind or too nice to reject me, for lack of better words. And so, you know, you were ready. Like in 2015, you were ready. In 2016, you were ready. And I wasn't ready. And I kind of really had to hear from God. And not just hear from God, but I had to be sure of myself that I could be a wife. And so I think that as far as what you say is manipulation, I think that you knew before me, and you knew that you had to kind of act when I was ready without counting the cost. And I think that if I could do it all again, we would still get married. But I think I would have done more premarital counseling.
Yeah.
I think we would have done counseling once we got married still. I think we kind of did premarital counseling, and because we did premarital counseling with our pastors who we're familiar with and who we love and who love us, we didn't take it seriously. They very much took it seriously. They were very much like, this is a prerequisite before you get married, before we'll marry you. Here's a 18-page packet. Yeah. Fill it out separately, and we're gonna come together and go over the answers. But we didn't take it seriously. Yes. We answered the questions kind of arbitrarily, and then we got married, and it was like, bruh, like we were not ready for the challenges that marriage brought. And being a blended family, even that, I was a single mom for 9 years, and so being someone who kind of raises a child in a village where, you know, I had my family, my mom and my brother and my sisters who helped me, our church family that helped me, but it was kind of like I got to make my own decisions about what Janisa did and how she was. And then you coming in as the head and as a father figure and as her dad and taking over that role, and me not knowing how to relinquish that. Yes. Me not knowing, because I had been in so many broken relationships and because of my own personal issues, not knowing how to let you love me. And I wish someone would have, I wish that someone would have told us, and not just that, I wish we would have known. I wish we would have been smarter about taking our marriage seriously. Yeah. And not thinking that, oh, we're gonna get married and then that's it.
At the end,
yeah,
like, everything's gonna be fine because we got married.
Yeah.
And that's when the fight started.
Yeah. I remember Evangelist did that word. She did, that's where I got the idea of the after happily ever. And so she did it was a word about happily ever after, and she went through all the sequences of the fairy tale princesses. And I won't even go deeper into that because I don't know the context, but I remember like had just gotten married, and it felt like, I know it wasn't an attack, but it felt like an attack because that first 2 years was such a struggle for us because we weren't honest with each other about who we were. We weren't honest with each other about what we struggled with. We weren't honest with each other about what our truths were. Like, two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
I can believe something is true and you can believe something is true. We never like went over that. We just got married and we're like, the end, happily ever after. But no one talks about the after happily ever.
Yeah.
And we very much went through that. We very much went through like, okay, so what do I do when I want to punch you in the face but I love you still? Like, you know, like these impulsive, intrusive thoughts where, you know, and also kind of dabbling into the conversation about like how we were talking about the habanero linguistics and arguing about how like I thought that being a good wife was not saying anything. Like I thought being a good wife was just shutting up and being quiet. And then later there would be these huge blowouts and seemingly from nowhere, but really I was harboring all these things. Dr. Miles Monroe says that women are incubators. And so, you know, regardless of whatever you give a woman, she is going to give birth to something. So you give her a house, she makes it a home. You give her a seed, she makes it into a baby. And so some things that were seeded in me in the beginning of our relationship birth contention and resentment and strife. And I didn't know how to navigate it. And because I was so ashamed of the fact that we were even going through it, I didn't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
And I wish I would do that different. I would talk to the resources that we had, because we had so many resources, so many people who were older than us, so many people, so many really good examples of marriages and godly marriages that we could talk to that we didn't. We didn't use our resources. And so I wish I would have spoken up, because I think a lot of the things that we went through in the beginning, we didn't have to go through.
Yeah, stuff that could have been avoided. That's also about the other reaching out for help, right? I have my parents. They both still live on the mainland, and I never really asked them for counseling as much. And it's not to, you know, not have them in business, have them in our business or whatnot. But I don't have that story. My story isn't one like, oh, Mike grew up in a bad home, and Mike was bad, and Mike had a bad dad, whatever that 8 Mile.
He had a bad dad, and that's sad.
Oh, man, that's sad. You know, my parents were very much there for me. That's what, when we were talking to the Uber girl.
Bro, we had 3 Uber. We rode the Uber 3 times today. You rode the first Uber by yourself. The 2 Ubers, we're talking story. Like, we're like...
We're going to have to record an Uber ride.
Yeah, our Uber drivers were the bomb. Shout out April. Where
was I going with that? I'm sorry.
You were saying your parents, you didn't have a bad history.
Oh.
You didn't come from a bad upbringing.
Right. So I don't get to claim life was hard.
Yeah.
My dad worked his butt off.
Yes.
In order to make sure that we were good.
Yeah.
My mom still works by choice.
Yes.
But it's because she likes to travel and go through these
rich.
And my parents have been married.
She's rich.
But
Mama.
Big Mama got money.
Big Mama works so that she can do what she wants.
That's basically it.
I want to be like her, girl. Continue.
So, not wanting to go with them with our problems. Yeah. Even though for me, that's my best example of a marriage.
Yes.
I am turning 38 in June. They'll be married 38 years.
What's your young self? 38 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the lady didn't think that you was, old enough to be in Waikiki when you got in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look like my sugar daddy.
But hey.
I'm your sugar baby.
Them prices at Signature made it seem like that. Worth every penny, though. But my parents were my best example. I saw how my father treated my mother. I saw how my mother handled a house. I saw that my dad worked, and when he came home, he relaxed, and mom made it to where everything was relaxing. I can only count on one hand how many times I've seen them argue, and I only remember the one fight, and I wouldn't even have that memory had I been obedient and knocked on the door and turned around or whatever.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Because my sister brought this up one time, and she was saying, it's actually, someone actually sent me a meme too about that, about how they wish that their parents would have told them how hard it was, because parents make it look like it's so easy.
Yes.
and then we go
It's a
into
lie.
life. It's a lie. And that part I don't agree with. I don't think that because we still did what we want to do. But as far as marriage is concerned, do you think that because you didn't see your parents argue, that you thought, like, did that change your perspective of what marriage was?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought that it's kind of like what our son is going through now. You know, he wants to be in a relationship. He wants to have a family.
Just joking.
He
At
sees
16.
what he's in.
Yes.
And he think, well, my dad gets to do this, 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 and this, so that's what I want. Not knowing that me being able to do this and this is because you handle this, this, and this,
Yeah.
and I am capable of coming home, eating because you cooked. I'm capable of coming home, going and taking a shower, not having to worry about the kids, not having to worry about the house because you've handled that already. And the reason why you handle it is because I handle you. Not, I said that wrong.
No, it's okay.
I don't.
Handle's not a good word, though. The
Handle's
people
not a
will be
good
mad
word.
at you
Yeah.
if you say handle. But
I
you
do what I'm supposed to do as a
because
man.
you handle me. I'm just playing. I'm just
Listen,
playing. No, but I'm
listen.
just no. Stay focused.
I'm gonna turn the picture around so they can see the bed. It's in
Big-
shambles. I'm being
I'm
good.
cutting that out. Go.
Okay. Shambles.
So handle. Different word for handle.
Because I do what I'm supposed to do as the husband
You take
and
care of
as
me.
the father, as the man of the
You
house.
take care of your business.
Then you
Take care of my
are
business.
motivated to handle your business. 'Cause
Period.
it's like, how dare my husband go to work
Period.
hungry? Let me put this in his lunchbox,
Period.
which the instructions of what to eat at one time.
He doesn't read it, but I do put post-it notes in his lunch
I
of
do
like
read
1,
Post-its.
2, 3, 4, because he does intermittent fasting. And so I'll put, this is your lunch, this is your snack. You read it, but you don't listen. You don't do it. What's that?
Rain.
Whatever. It's not rain.
That is rain. Look.
Okay. Oh, we said fast. Oh, you can see it. That's wild. Okay, quickly.
Hi.
Okay, so because I did see my parents argue, and I don't know if that affected me or not, but I do think that some things that we deal with subconsciously form us.
Yeah.
And I think that your dad is a really good man, that growing up, he was that man. I think that even sometimes when you're like being really hard on yourself, I'm like, that's that Michael Sr. Because your dad handled his business. To
Handles
this day,
business.
he handles his business. And so I think that you are a little harder on yourself because of the example that your dad set before you, because of who he was. And I don't think that's good or bad. I think it's what it is.
It's the standard.
It is thank you.
Right.
That's what it
It's the
is.
standard.
It's the
I don't get to
standard.
go backwards. It's
Yes.
like right now I'm teaching Isaiah that he has to be better than me. I saw it on, I don't know if it was Instagram or something, but they said that men who are raising sons, our ceiling is their floor.
Ooh.
And I could have shot it
Hey,
right there.
cut a bone.
Because that's the purpose. I teach Isaiah that I'm building a foundation for him to build a frame for a house, so that his kids can build the house, so that his
Yeah.
grandkids
Uh-huh.
can do the interior decorating, and that's how we pass it down.
Uh-huh.
Right? But that is what I'm
I
building
like when
for
you talk
my
like
son.
that. Uh-huh.
But my father has already built a foundation.
Uh-huh.
I'm building a frame. My son will be building the house.
Hey.
My grandkids will be the interior decorator.
Hey.
And so as long as we're always constantly building that foundation, our ceiling is always going to be our kids' floor.
Yeah.
My kids should never have to do what I did.
Bruh.
So my dad came from a situation where he was, he had to grow, and then he created everything that we have. Like I said, him working the 3 jobs when he got out of the military. My dad got out of the military. He was working as a car salesman. He picked up a job at Sports Authority doing sales. And then when that wasn't working, he did paper route.
Yeah.
And I remember he used to alternate me and Alex.
Taking you
So
guys with
we were
him.
going to help him with the
Yeah.
paper route. But it didn't hit me until later in my 20s.
Yeah.
When my dad got out of the military doing one job. Mind
Yes.
you, he got out of the military because he was going to make rank. He was going to make E8. But he would have had to go do a remote assignment.
Yeah.
It was my senior year. My brother was playing football.
Yeah.
And he would have missed all
Yeah.
of that. So he sacrificed his career
Yes.
to be a father.
Yes.
That's the example that I see.
Yes.
That's what I have to live up to.
And I think it's the same for me as a mother. My mom was a great mom. There's 4 of us, and she did a great job of making sure that we all felt special. You is smart, you is kind, you is important. And there was never a moment where I didn't feel like I was seen. I didn't feel like, even when her and my dad disagreed on certain things, she was really good about making sure that I knew that I was heard and I was understood. And I think that that's the standard for me. Like even now, because she's here with us. And so sometimes I even put myself in that, like, oh my God, like my mom is watching. And I don't think she's watching and judging. I think she's watching and being prayerful and, kind of watching over like a matriarch does. But there's so much that she did that I hold to a high regard, because for me, she's the example.
Yeah.
And so I think that, to go back to that question about whether or not seeing them argue affected you or not, I think that we see what we want to see, and we kind of, it's kind of like when your parents tell those stories and you're like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And it's because we take the chunks out of what we get. And so I think even in parenting our kids, which the conversation kind of changed to, because you were talking about Isaiah wanting to be married, it's kind of like, okay, so not just showing him the good side, like where we're always kissing and touching on each other and loving on each other, but also like, this is work. I do this so that your mom can do this, and having those real conversations so that we don't have this unrealistic idea of what it is. It is work, and I think that we didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know that it was going to be work, because of our examples were kind of just like, well, you just kind of put together, like, assembled, and it, like...
Yeah,
that's
not how marriage works.
It's not. And it's for real right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Give me a kiss. I love you.
I love you, too. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right, so, you go up. You're going to go ahead.
We're cutting it out.
Yeah, we obviously.
Okay, what are you doing?
Okay, well, stay seated so I have more time to work with it.
Okay.
Okay, so give it like 10 seconds. And then from this point, then I can cut that out.
Okay.
You want to kiss me some more?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, but I'm cold.
All right, kiss me in the rain now. Okay. Yeah. You should have walked in front of the camera.